Now that's original.
She was a girl that I liked to look at, one of those to be worshipped from afar. She was such a feast for the eyes, and hers were as blue as the sky and as bright as the stars. Well, I knew that she wouldn't give me the time of day. Still I was content just to look her way. The world she lived in was a long way from mine, and I knew that I could never, ever cross that line. I could never kiss her lips, hold her body in my arms. I was glad she did exist outside of my heart. For one look at her, and any fool could tell that a loving God made the world and did it well. I could write another verse about her hair and her skin. I'd ne'er do justice to her, you'd say get a load of him. Just a lovesick fool with his Trojan queen, telling us lies about beauty he's never seen. I got to look, but someone will touch. Friend, let me say, I'm happy for your love. For if you appreciate 1/10 as much as I, then I know for you that this life will have been worthwhile, and that makes me smile. Yes, that makes me smile. was a girl that I liked to look at. Boy, as they say, that was rough as a cob there. I did not have the picking kind of planned out on that and just tried to wing it, and so I got tangled up quite a few times. Strings on this Gibson here are brand new, but maybe they didn't stretch too bad or get too out of tune. There's my excuses for you. That song there, I hope nobody was offended by it, by the fact that it kind of objectifies, in a way, female beauty. I wrote that song. It's one of the earliest songs that I ever wrote. I would say within the first 5 somewhere. And I did write it on this guitar because that was before I got the Taylor 710. I got that in about 90 or 91 when I was either kind of finishing up 10th grade or maybe 11th grade. So I probably wrote the song you just heard somewhere around 9th grade. It's not about any one specific girl or lady. We in high school, we read the beginning, I guess it was probably the beginning of 10th grade, maybe, that I wrote that song because we read the Iliad. And if you're familiar with the Iliad, it's about the Trojan War, where the Trojans travel, in big ships, and they battle the Greeks, and it's mythology, but it's about the reason for the war is over a lady named Helen, who was supposedly the most beautiful woman in the world, and I guess the Greeks took her back with them and took her inside their big walled-in city, and then the Trojans came to get her back, and you had a big epic war. So I thought that was kind of funny in a way. That someone could be the most beautiful woman in the world, because of course beauty is very subjective. And I remember thinking at the time, ladies that I would see on TV that were called supermodels, yes, they were pretty, but sometimes I would think, well, man, that waitress in town or that one cashier that I know is prettier than that model or whatever. So it is a very subjective thing. I won't say I'm proud of myself, because I'm not proud of myself at all, but I am pleased that my teenage self, even though this was a song about superficiality in a way and about physical beauty, which we know is, of course, not the most important thing, and we know it's a very fleeting thing. It doesn't last long, in a way. I won't go too far down that path, but I guess what I was trying to say there is I'm kind of surprised that even in a song like that, which again is about a superficial thing, I did work in the concept of I worked in God, and all good things come from God, right? So anything here in this life, on this earth, that is impressive, that is beautiful, that is something to be enjoyed and something to be considered, and just something that gets your attention. If it's good, anything that's good came from God. And not that I don't believe in some degree maybe of natural selection and evolution, as they say. I don't believe, of course, in the whole entire theory, and it is just a theory, but certain things would have no evolutionary purpose. And so, well, now you could say, well, yeah, but if, species, the male and the female species, they have to find attraction in order to mate, blah, blah, blah. Well, to some level, but not necessarily to the level that that you can see, like this song and like the Iliad is about just that extraordinary beauty that's just like, wow, and your mouth falls open or whatever, your eyes get big. That's not required for anything evolutionary. Speaking of, evolution and kind of continuing whatever, the species. So anyway, that's something that I worked in even as a teenager. I guess I had that much sense to know that great beauty is a gift from God. Like I said, it's not written about any one specific person that I knew, but more like a collection. I don't know if that makes sense. I came back and I wrote, I guess it would have been like the third to last verse, the one that says, I could write another verse about her hair and her skin. I'd ne'er do justice to her. You'd say, get a load of him. Just a lovesick fool with his Trojan queen, lying to us all about beauty he's never seen. I wrote that verse several years later, and at that time, and that would have been either late high school or early college, I was reading a lot of sonnets, a lot of Shakespearean sonnets, Spenserian sonnets, sonnets from John Donne and other poetry from John Donne. And what was popular in those days was over the top praise, poetic praise of a woman's beauty. And so, there's some things that are cliche in this song, like her eyes were as blue as the sky and bright as the star. Well, they couldn't be as bright as the star. You couldn't look at her, But that's kind of the way those sonnets were. Now that verse, though, that came in at the beginning of the song, so I wasn't really reading those poems then. But I was, like I said, later when I kind of came back and added that verse. And I thought, why don't I just go ahead and make a direct allusion to Helen of Troy? So that's why I added the line about with his Trojan queen. And I thought it was kind of funny to add the concept in there of like people not believing you. Like, yeah, I'm sure you saw a woman that, so beautiful like that you're talking about. Because sometimes when people see amazing things, people don't believe them. I read one time about how Jim Bridger, I believe it was one of the first white men or first kind of settlers or pioneers to see Yellowstone. And when he came back and told other people about it, they thought he was really full of it. He's talking about this boiling water that shoots way up in the sky, and he's talking about a mountain of crystal and all these amazing, beautiful things that he saw. And they're like, yeah, sure, Jim. So that's kind of a concept that I put in there in the song too. And also, somewhere in there, I don't know if it would have been between the two things I just talked about, but somewhere in there, I remember reading about and studying about the concept of Platonic love. And you can Google that, or maybe I'll put a little definition in the description below. But that's kind of like a love that's never really realized or fulfilled or consummated. And in some ways that makes it kind of more special. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but once you actually accomplish something or achieve something, there can be a little bit of a letdown. Like if you spent years of your life wanting to climb Mount Everest and then you do it and then you come back home, there can kind of be like well, I did it, and what now? Or is that all there was to it, So that in that respect, if it kind of remains where you're just from afar and you don't kind of go any further, it can be, I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of what I was saying in the song. It's not necessarily that I believe that, but it was kind of like the basis of the song is that to just let it remain that way. And then I guess as a teenager, and maybe I'll share a little picture of about kind of what I looked like back in the day around the time I wrote this song. But I guess I thought I was being a big person to, in the song, say, well, I can't have this incredible, beautiful woman or lady or whatever, female, but I can be happy for whoever does, and that's probably probably not really sincere, but I just thought it would be kind of a neat idea to work into the song that I could be happy for whoever. Maybe if I didn't know about it directly, and then I couldn't be jealous. But I'm rambling here. I do think that while I think that's maybe a bit of a stretch in terms of being something that you would be likely to really sincerely feel, I do think there's the idea of not wanting something that's really valuable to be lost or wasted or never really appreciated or never really kind of experienced. So I guess on that plane or that level, that might be true. Anyway, I hope everybody, or I hope no one was kind of offended by this song. I tried to put a little disclaimer at the beginning. It is kind of a, like I said, a song about superficiality in a way. But one reason I shared it is I've been trying to go through my different songs out there, or from way back then, that are not sad, because several folks have said they don't really want to hear a sad song. And I get it. I don't want to discourage anybody. Sad songs don't bother me. I love sad songs. They've always kind of been my favorite. And like I said, classic country music, that's mostly what it is. It's sad songs. But anyway, that I did one last week that was one of my non-sad songs, and seems like someone even thought that song was sad, which it could have been more about the melody, because it had a minor chord in it. But anyway, that's why I picked this song, is because it's not really a sad song. I have one more for you that along the same lines as this song that I'll share next week, and it's much newer. I was probably maybe like in my early 30s or something when I wrote it, and it's sort of about the same concept. It's about just that unbelievable beauty, but it's taken from more of a comical stance, and I don't think it's as good a song as the one that I just sang, and it's not as original in terms of the melody or music. But anyway, I'll share that one with you next week, and then I'll kind of have these songs out of my system, and then after that maybe I'll go back and start sharing a few more of Pap's songs, which of course are about something far more lasting and important, about the gospel. But thank you for watching. Tune in next Tuesday. Lord willing, we'll have an old-timey song for you. I don't know what it'll be just yet, but we'll try to do one for you.